Hello everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as Cineram here on YouTube, and I do the Thursday videos on this collaboration channel. Unfortunately, it is my unhappy duty to make a video regarding an actor who has recently died, much too soon. Anton Yelchin was only 27 years old when he was pinned by his own car to his mailbox in security fence. It's a really bad situation. And, you know, he had a long career ahead of him. Of course, he is probably best known for playing Chekhov, taking over the role of Chekhov in the new Star Trek movies, but he's been in lots of large and small movies over the course of his career. I wanted to take a second look at a movie that I saw some years ago that I liked, in which he was, you know, nominally the main character. He's sort of a co-lead with Eva Amurri. Eva Amurri plays Grace, and Anton Yelchin plays Dorian, and they both work at a pool. It's kind of a summer job. Anton Yelchin, Dorian is about to start his senior year at high school, and Grace is moving on to medical school, or so she thought. As it turns out, her mother has not been paying off the credit cards that she took out in her own daughter's name, and so as a consequence, Grace's credit sucks, and she can't get financial aid, and she wants to go to medical school because she wants to be a doctor. And her mother, by the way, is played by Eva Amurri's real mother, Susan Sarandon. She says, well, honey, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you and your father and I never went to college, and we made something of ourselves. And Grace says, Mom, I want to be a doctor. You have to go to medical school in order to become a doctor. It's crazy, you know. You're just ruining things for me, and you act like I don't even care. Her mother seems much more focused on Grace's younger sister, who's played by Willa Holland. She's about 15. She's putting together a portfolio so she can be a professional model, which is something that Willa Holland doesn't seem all that enthusiastic about. And meanwhile, Dorian, the Anton Yelchin character, he's got a family situation he's dealing with. He was adopted by a couple who were very wealthy. They had a very successful business, and they don't feel like he's really lived up to his potential. He seems like kind of a layabout, so they send him basically to his uncle to shape up and get some discipline, which of course Dorian doesn't care for at all. So when he meets Grace and overhears a little bit about her financial problems, he offers her a proposition. He has a weed connection. He wants to sell marijuana to the locals. People come to the pool, and people, just around town, but his uncle won't let him use a car, so he needs someone to drive him around. Enter Grace. So she says, okay, I really need the money, but we have to have all these rules in place so that I'm trying to minimize my risk. Don't want to get busted, you have to, be totally responsible, and I can't have any legal knowledge of what you're carrying or what you're doing or anything like that, so that I won't get in trouble, because that could really ruin my future. She's like, okay, so they start driving around town, dealing pot to people and making money. There's more complications involved there as thing goes on. Grace really doesn't want to have much to do with him outside of that, but he sort of is leaning on her as a friend because he doesn't really know a whole lot of other people. He has his customers, but they're not really his friends. Grace is pretty much his only friend. Meanwhile, he meets Grace's younger sister, who develops a not-so-successfully hidden crush on him. Then there's more revelations involving what happened with Grace and her sister's father, who died about 6 years ago, and how they just got in the whole situation. Grace is putting all the blame on her mother, as well she should, because her mother has acted very irresponsibly. But it's not as simple as that, because there's a whole sort of chain of events that Grace learns about that led up to this point that neither she or her mother had any control over, really. Things didn't work out. They'd made plans, but they all sort of seem stuck. The title, Middle of Nowhere, is very appropriate, because the characters all sort of seem trapped and stuck as where they are in this sort of anonymous suburban town. That I don't even think they named the town or the state that it's in. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I just watched it again yesterday, but I don't remember them mentioning it. Also, Justin Chatwin is in this movie. Justin Chatwin is best known for playing Tom Cruise's son in War of the Worlds, and he is Emmy Rossum's on and off again boyfriend in the series Shameless on Showtime. He has a kind of a small part. He's a guy who asks Grace out at the pool, and they have a few scenes together. His part is relatively minor. The director of this movie is John Stockwell. I have to admit, the reason why I was interested in this movie to begin with is because John Stockwell's made a bunch of movies in which he makes his attractive actresses look as great as possible. Kate Bosworth and Michelle Rodriguez in Blue Crush, Jessica Alba in Into the Blue, Kirsten Dunst in Crazy Beautiful. Just like, man, he makes these women look their best. They look fantastic, and so I was really looking forward to seeing Eva Amurri because she's gorgeous too in this movie. But this is a much smaller movie. It's the photography isn't as polished as it is. It's kind of sort of flat, I guess you could say, or brightly lit throughout. Not the most stylishly shot movie. And it didn't even get a theatrical release in the United States, as far as I know. It played at a couple film festivals, but according to IMDb, it never saw the inside of a theater here in Chicago or anywhere else in the States. Just went straight to DVD. It's listed as a 2008 movie, but its release was actually 2010, so it took a while for this movie to come out, which is not totally unexpected. I mean, Susan Sarandon's the biggest name in the movie when it came out. This was just a year after the first Star Trek movie that Anton Yelchin was in. So, although he was in that movie, he didn't exactly make him a name, not the way it did, Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana, and Zachary Quinto, of course. They all got a big career boost from being in that movie. And Simon Pegg, of course, was already well known from Shaun of the Dead. Anton Yelchin, he's, like I said, he's been in movies large and small. He's good in this movie. He's been good in everything I've seen, although I can't say that I've really followed his career all that closely. I went through his IMDb page. I've seen maybe about a third of the movies that are listed on there. Just here and there. I eventually got around to seeing Terminator Salvation, in which he played Kyle Reese. I wouldn't recommend that movie to anyone. A lot of people like him in Charlie Bartlett. I did see that movie ages ago, but I don't remember hardly anything about it. This was, aside from the Star Trek movies, this was the one movie that kind of stood out as something that I'd want to talk about. And it's a decent movie. It's a small movie, small scale, not terribly ambitious. It deals with a certain little tiny corner of the world and the people who live in it. Certainly not a bad movie. Certainly a good indie drama with some strong acting and some interesting characters. And like I said, it's not something where you can simply blame a particular character or characters on all the problems. It's much more complicated than that. It's this sort of the latest episode in a long chain of events that has brought the characters to where they are. And so I admire that about it, that it's not just all cut and dried, black and white as to, good things and bad things happening that are so ambiguous. Anyway, Middle of Nowhere. Again, John Stockwell, the director, and it's a recommendation. And I don't know if I'll be looking at lots of Anton Yelchin's previous movies in the months and years to come, but certainly didn't hate the guy. He's a good actor, and it's really, really a shame that what happened to him, and that he won't get a chance to really show his stuff in the future. So thank you very much for watching. If you are unfamiliar with Middle of Nowhere, I'll leave a link to the YouTube trailer in the description below. Also below you'll find the link to our Facebook page if you'd like to recommend a particular actor, actress, director, genre, film series that you'd like us to focus on for a week. Please do. We'd appreciate it. Or leave a comment on this YouTube page, or please subscribe to us if you haven't already. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for watching. See you again next week. Bye-bye.